The voice of sharing, Durian ASEAN.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello and good morning. This is Gowri.
Hi, this is Grace.
And you're, of course, listening to DurianASEAN.com, the voice of discovery and sharing.
That's correct. And we're going to bring a lot of news from Southeast Asia. And we're going to discuss, analyze, and bring more news from Southeast Asia.
And before that, it's 8 o'clock right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Friday morning. And of course, as always, we're excited on Fridays because it's anything can happen Friday.
Yeah, Gowri.
And we try to make it as fun as possible for our listeners out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we present the mostly the arts and culture side of Southeast Asia, which is dedicated to our Friday programs.
Mm-hmm.
So, how are you doing, Grace? You look a little sleepy there.
I'm a bit sleepy. I actually woke up late, but I was pretty excited about this news this morning about a word.
About the Oscar nominations,
That's
which
correct.
is not really in Southeast Asia, of course, but every year when the nominations are announced, everyone is excited, everyone's looking forward to it. And which is why we're just gonna briefly run through the nominations for the Oscar, and we just go through the important ones like Best Picture. Actually, they have a few nominations here: The American Sniper, Birdman, Boyhood, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Imitation Game, Selma, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash.
And then we have actors in the leading role. And we have actresses leading role, actors in the supporting role, and the actresses in a supporting role. And we have directing, which is we have a few directors here. And animated feature film. This actually last year, animations were pretty successful, and one of them is Big Hero 6, and it got a lot of credibility from the audience. And also, moving on to perhaps cinematography.
Actually, I want to just comment a little on the Best Picture. Have you seen most of the movies on the list?
To
of
be
the
honest,
Best Picture?
actually, no, I have not.
Well, I've actually seen The Theory of Everything,
Uh-huh.
and that was, of course, amazing. It was about Stephen Hawking and his life.
Yeah.
And because of that, Eddie Redmayne, who plays Stephen Hawking, was also nominated for Best Actor, together with Benedict Cumberbatch, who is also another amazing actor. Bradley Cooper is also nominated this time, Steve Carell, and also Michael Keaton for the Birdman movie.
I see.
And for Best Director, surprisingly, The Theory of Everything is not nominated this time. But they have the others, like the same movies, like The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Imitation Game, Foxcatcher, Birdman.
So this is pretty interesting. There are a lot of immediate reaction to this nominated film, but then moving on to, we have a lot more categories like cinematography and costume design. And actually, when it comes to cinematography, again, like we mentioned, the movie, the Grand Budapest Hotel is there again, and the Birdman is there, and Ida, Mr. Turner, and Unbroken. And when it comes to costume design, we also have, again, the Grand Budapest Hotel, Inherent Vice, Into the Woods, a Maleficent, and a Mr. Turner. And we have a few more categories such as documentary feature, documentary short subject, film editing, foreign language film, and makeup and hairstyle, music, music which is original score, original songs, production design, short film, which is both for animation and also the short film, and a lot more actually categories regarding writing.
And of course, this will be up on our Facebook page soon enough. So the winners will be announced on 22nd of February. If you guys want to know, of course, you can always watch the Oscars to find out who the winners are going to be, and to see if your favorite movies or actor, director is nominated this time.
That's correct.
And another good news from Penang. That's moving on to our local scene now. We have police officers rescuing 17 human trafficking victims from Myanmar at a house at Kulim while investigating a murder.
And they are still looking for this former police officer who was believed to be fly to Australia, but it's still under the investigation where he is, because when it comes to human trafficking, we need to strengthen the police force here. But then still a lot of this event is happening. But then luckily police officers in Georgetown, in Penang, managed to rescue 17 of them.
So Malaysia does have a very bad track record actually when it comes to human trafficking, especially with Myanmar workers, people from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, all these people who actually want to come to Malaysia and seek a better livelihood, but instead they get trafficked, they get sold, they get treated very badly by their employers. So for the officers to rescue 17 human trafficking victims is actually quite a huge feat, and it's also a very positive light for Penang, for Malaysia itself, because it shows that we are actually doing something about addressing this human trafficking problem. A lot of NGOs have stood up in the past, coming up with various efforts for awareness or what you can do to help these traffic victims.
And also, yes, and also one of the human trafficking that happened recently, and then the event was the murder case, murder of a UNHCR, which is United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees. So this person who was from Myanmar was found dead, and it was the mother case, and then that's when this case is under investigation, and there are so many suspicions are going on, but however they are still looking for to go for further investigation, and the 3 foreigners who guarded them were also arrested.
And hopefully we keep making this kind of efforts, keep addressing this problem, especially on a more regional level, probably not only in Malaysia. Maybe the police of Malaysia can also work with Thailand, work with Myanmar, because we know that a lot of Rohingyas are being trafficked at the moment. As much as they're trying to flee the country, a lot of different parties are taking advantage of that and trying to make money out of that by promising them that, okay, if you pay me this amount of money, I can get you here safely. And most of the time it's all lies, because they cannot guarantee anything. So in the end, it's always this less privileged people that gets victimized from this kind of incidents. So hopefully the police will keep on making the good effort and do something about the human trafficking victims in Malaysia. And moving on to another good news. We're going to start with all the good news first this morning. Apparently the passport fees in Malaysia has reduced, and before this the price was actually about 300 for a 5-year passport, and as of this year, as of yesterday, the price to make a 5-year passport is only 200 ringgit now.
Oh, that's like a lot of difference.
That is actually a lot of money, because in order to make a 2-year passport, it was probably about 100 or 150. So before this, a lot of people were actually complaining that it's so expensive to make a 5-year passport, because 5 years is always more convenient than 2 years instead of
course,
renewing every 2 years. So that's another positive thing that's come in the light yesterday.
Well, for those who actually renewed the passport before this announcement, it's very bad news. But however, for those who wants to travel and extend their passport period, this is definitely good news. And what's happening here is the passport fee for senior citizen or children below 12 And also student below 21 and studying abroad is around 100 ringgit. And then priorities senior citizen and students studying abroad paid 150 for the 5-year passport. So again, that there is also 50 ringgit differences there.
And I'm glad you brought that up because one of the people who went and did their passport just before this announcement was me. So I was very upset when I saw this. Like, why couldn't this be just a few
Happened
months
earlier.
ago?
Yeah, exactly.
But well, I guess I have to wait another 2 years now. But it's all good that they have reduced the price. It makes it easier, more affordable for Malaysians.
For sure, and also another just to top information on top of that is with the reduction of 5-year passport, the 2-year passport is not available anymore. So that's another information that we need to send it out to our listeners for your information.
Thank you very much, Grace. So we are gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we are gonna continue with our ASEAN Daily.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello and welcome back to Duran ASEAN. This is Gowri.
Hello, this is Grace.
And just now it was Freya with Fries in Cream, our very own local artist.
And then she has amazing tunes and the lyrics there. So check her out and support indie music.
Of course. And moving on to our ASEAN Daily. Actually, we're still in Malaysia talking about Eric Paulson, who was released yesterday, and it seems that they are trying to arrange for a debate between him and Jakim, whom he announced of promoting extremism.
And then the RTM is which is National Broadcaster Radio Television Malaysia, will provide a platform for these two parties to come together and then to be able to debate. And there are a lot of feedback because there are cons and pros, of course. And then to the listeners out there, they will have a lot of sort of their own opinions regarding the freedom of expression in this country.
But this news actually makes me really happy because this is what we are looking for. When somebody accuses another party of something, you don't pose threat on them, you don't arrest them, you don't try to scare them and instill fear in them. You call them, have a dialogue, have a debate, and show them why that person is wrong, which is exactly what they're trying to do here. And this should have been the way from the start, instead of arresting him and making it look like he's some kind of a terrorist or a dangerous person in the country. I think even our local police force tweeted that, oh, we just arrested Eric Paulson with like 20 cops, which was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, exactly.
If you ask me, he was even already willing to surrender or to actually go to the police station itself. So back to this news, it's great that they are trying to call for this dialogue or this debate, which RTM is willing to be the platform, willing to host this thing itself.
The way how Eric Paulson have approached towards this event is very calm, and then he, as if he has already predicted all this coming along, but just based on how he has handled so far, it already shows that he has given the consideration, a lot of consideration into this matter. And then, of course, this is again regarding the freedom of expression. And then, according to him, he said it's just not expressing one sentence. You have to articulate it. So people out there, they should be able to understand what's really going on and then what this guy really wanna say. On behalf of the Malaysians, and also we also need to hear exactly what Jakim has to say about this regarding these issues.
One good thing about that, because you mentioned that he was very calm about the whole thing, it's because he's a lawyer and he knows his rights. He knows the procedure when somebody brings you to a police station. What are the things that they have to do? If they probably arrested a layman with no legal knowledge whatsoever, they probably wouldn't be as calm. They'll probably freak out and be really scared and throw a tantrum or something.
Course.
But because he actually knows his stuff as a lawyer, which is why he didn't seem all that affected by what happened, and he also actually came forward to say that his tweet is actually within the law. He said, "Our federal constitution allows Malaysians to speak within the boundaries of law," and he believes that his tweet was within the law. And it seems he has also received several threats via Twitter and WhatsApp over the weekend, and he will be more careful in the future with the kind of words that he chooses. But then again, it goes back to the freedom of expression, where Malaysia does actually guarantee the freedom of speech as long as it's within the boundaries that were set.
Yes, and also if the statement was made with a reasonable reason behind, then that needs to be explained to the public.
So this Lawyer of Liberty co-founder, Eric Paulson, just to give a little background, he was arrested on Monday and released after 2 days after he was given bail, and it was an investigation into his claim that Jakim actually promotes extremism through their Friday sermons. So I really hope that this debate takes place. I think all Malaysians would love to watch it, to see Eric Paulson defending himself, and also for Jakim to come forth and clarify why Eric Paulson's allegations were wrong.
And also looking forward to hearing more about this news. At the same time, we are all hoping that this debate will be a healthy conversation between two parties.
And moving on to Interpol. Interpol is actually stepping into Malaysia to help us with one of our investigations, and it's to do with the murder of the Mongolian model Altan Tuya Sharibu. And this case has actually been going on for a very, very long time. And this happened in 2006 to be exact.
Well, that's like long years
that's like
ago.
nearly 10 years. This Mongolian woman was murdered, and for years and years and years the trial has been ongoing, trying to look for the culprit who did it. And there were so many things that I wouldn't say went wrong, but they just couldn't figure out. The evidence didn't tally up with the statement given by the accused, the witnesses, and finally they have actually managed to come up with the perpetrator's name, who is Cyril, along with his former chief inspector Azila Hadri, and both of them have been sentenced to murder after the final verdict was announced.
So this kind of murder cases in Malaysia, the police station needs to really look into this matter properly, because it looks like it's been dragging since 2006 until now. And then only now that they realize the seriousness, and then they really want to find who actually did it, what exactly happened, how about the considering the victims, I mean the families of the victim and friends of the victim who's been waiting for long, and also that person is not from here, so it's also between the nations. So Malaysia and the government really needs to look into and also strengthen and the system itself, and also policies, what steps they have to really take when it comes to investigation of the murder cases.
And even up until now, although the police and we know now who did it, but there's been a lot of speculations, and also a lot of people being skeptical as to are these two people really the ones who committed this, or are they just trying to close the case because it's been going on for so long, and that affects the reputation and the credibility of our country, of our government, if we're not able to solve this thing. So are these people really the ones who did it, or are they just being scapegoats for because they needed someone to take the charges, and they just needed to close the case and close the file. So we'll have to. And now Interpol has come in because the two people who recognized, as the perpetrators have actually fled to Australia
Yeah.
in October last year,
Mhm.
which is why Interpol is stepping in to help us to look for these culprits.
And it's even harder because they're in Australia and we never know where they are now at this moment. So definitely they need to really consult the Australian police station now to find out where they reside at the moment.
Actually, they already have done that, and the Australian government said, we will not send these two people back if you're just going to, sentence them to death, just hang them to death, give them a death penalty. So that's another thing that's ongoing at the moment, the discussion between Malaysia and Australia, because obviously Malaysia wants these two people back in the country, but Australia is more concerned about the human rights issue, and also is looking to protect them. And we also know that death penalty is something that is seen as conservative and not a very effective measure when it comes to solving crimes.
But then again, it's a matter of how they are going to handle this situation, because whether it's of course it leads to human right issue by just put them in the sentence, but however it's been dragging, and then a lot of people have been waiting for it to be finished. So it's also up to the government here in Malaysia how they're going to really execute this plan for these two people who fled to Australia.
So let's move on to Korea for a bit.
Okay.
And it seems that Korea's outlaw tattoo artists have something to say.
And what does he need to say?
Well, first of all, it seems that there's a lot of people in Korea who have tattoos, but tattooing itself is not illegal in South Korea.
Yep.
But the law states that it can only be carried out by a licensed medical doctor. And because of this, all these tattoo artists are actually having a hard time, because they are not licensed doctors who can actually go out and practice it. And therefore it's very difficult for people when they want to go and get a tattoo, and it seems that they are lobbying for the government to make a change to make it easier for them, because they're not considered professionals, although they are really good at what they do.
And also at the same time, it goes to the health issue as well. So it needs to be justified by health consideration. That's where they're going for, and also giving more credibility to all these medical doctors when it comes to tattoo. However, it needs to be proven whether there are some cases they had a side effects after having tattoos on their body, and anything that that they caused the really serious causes, like bleeding or had a skin infections. Then based on that, then they can actually sue all those artists. However, just blocking all of them and then sending directing all those people who want to have a tattoo to medical doctors, maybe it's not the really wise choice.
And this also prompts a lot of these people to set up their tattoo parlors without proper license, because they don't want to be discovered by the government, by the authorities. So there's usually no sign, no advertising, nothing, and it just works through a word of mouth. You just tell your friends, and your friends tell other people. And it seems that the response actually is quite good, even though it's done through the word of mouth, and it's also getting competitive. But they don't want to keep doing that. They wish the government would actually step in and change the regulations. And there were some random raids that was also conducted by the government, and a lot of these tattoo artists were either fined 3,000 or they actually end up in jail for violating this public health code.
And then it will actually cause a lot of complications when the older generations hear about this news, because they will definitely agree, because they still have this mindset of seeing tattoo as if that somebody is from the gangster group or very violent community. So because Korea is still based on the conservatism, so there will be a sort of miscommunication and also a little bit of a debate between the younger generation and older generations.
So we are going to take another short break. When we come back, we will continue with our ASEAN Daily.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello, this is Gowri,
Hi, this is Grace.
and you're still listening to DurianASEAN.com, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Yes, that's correct.
And we're done with Malaysia for now, finally, and we are moving on to the region itself. And we're starting with Singapore, where we have a frozen yogurt chain that is under investigation for turning away a Singaporean from the job.
And then this lady who wanted to get a job, and then she was rejected just because she was a different racist, and then also she couldn't speak Mandarin.
And she actually wrote on her Facebook page that the assistant manager had told her to turn her away because she could only speak Mandarin.
She could not speak
Cannot
Mandarin.
speak
Yes.
Mandarin. And she was not happy because she said, why should I learn a whole new language now just so I'm able to attain a part-time job at an F&B outlet? But the frozen yogurt's business country manager said that the person who attended to her was not actually a staff. So the person who interviewed Ms. Kaur was not actually attached to this frozen yogurt. And they've also started their investigations, and it seems that she's the wife of one of the owners and not the owner itself.
And then this is another small politics in that frozen yogurt company, because now they are pointing fingers at each other rather than embracing the company and then just to cleanly apologize to the public.
And I will not reveal the name of this frozen yogurt, not to protect the privacy, but because I really don't know how to pronounce it. And they have issued a public apology via Facebook. And they said they've been in touch with her to find out more about the incident. But this is something that doesn't only happen in Singapore. It also happens a lot in Malaysia, sadly, when an employer gets turned away because they cannot speak Mandarin.
And it is also how the company actually addresses this kind of problem when it comes to language to those who are actually looking for jobs. Because if they say, oh, you cannot speak Mandarin, so I'm so sorry. Or we are actually looking for Mandarin speakers. Is that how they actually campaigned and also promotion for job opportunities?
And of course, China is a big superpower, and also there, if you look at Malaysia and Singapore, there is a huge Chinese community, especially in Singapore. And Mandarin is a very important language. It's growing. The number of people who are learning Mandarin is growing very rapidly, and it's become a very important commodity as well. If you can speak Mandarin, you can survive in a lot more places. It increases your credibility. It makes it easier for you. But then again, it's unfair to expect every single person who is applying for the job to be able to speak Mandarin, unless of course they've stated it from the start that we will only hire Mandarin speakers. But a lot of times they don't. It's not actually written in the job description, but when you go in and then you get turned away because, oh, okay, we're only looking for somebody who can speak in Mandarin.
And again, what you mentioned is correct, Gowri, when it doesn't only happen in Singapore, but it happens most of the country in Southeast Asia when it comes to job opportunity and seeking for a job, because the information has to be delivered clearly, and also the person who's looking for a job also needs to read all those conditions properly without just, bluntly go and hey, I'm here for the interview, and at the end they just get turned away. Then they will complain to the public and on via their social media. This is actually, I will say, it's a wrong approach, and then it also damages the image of the company as well as your own reputation.
And like I mentioned earlier, China is of course it's a major country in this region, and it's a superpower, and it's a lot of Malaysians also. Not Malaysians, sorry, the Malaysian government. A lot of countries in Southeast Asia actually have a very good trade relationship with China, and of course it's an added advantage if you can actually speak the language, and which is also why a lot of people are going for Mandarin classes these days, trying to pick up the language, trying to master it, because economically it can be so beneficial to you. It can help you, and it probably in terms of networking as well, you can get to know more people the more languages we know, especially in Malaysia or most of the region countries in this region. We can always speak more than one language because English only came during the colonization period, and we already have Malay, we have Chinese, we have Tamil, we have different languages in Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, in Philippines.
Yes.
So of course, the more languages you know, the more it increases your credibility and also probably your market rate, if I may use that term, how well you fare in terms of job employment. So hopefully they address this issue and talk to Ms. Kaur and explain to her what their company policy was really about and clarify any misunderstanding, and hopefully employers will be more clear about what they're looking for.
And this is thing, just to add, just a sort of like idea to this event, because when it comes to company which runs by Chinese community, this happens because everyone has right to sort of speak about their employees, and this lady who is Mrs. Kwa, she was the wife of the company CEO, and then she actually stepped into the interview session where nobody was informed, and perhaps there was no communication delivered to the CEO or the staff there that there will be one person who will come for the interview. So this is another important steps that company really needs to look at. Even though this frozen yogurt may not seem very structured company, but it is actually a small enterprise company in Singapore. So when it comes to policies or regulations, they really need to look into the steps, how the interviews and also hiring a person is important, and so needs to be done step by step.
And another thing that's being done step by step right now is this mega merger that's happening between CIMB, RHB, and MBSB, which is the Malaysian Building Society Berhad. So they announced yesterday that they have actually done with their discussions on the proposed merger and creation of a mega Islamic bank in light of the current economic conditions.
And in fact, those two out of three banks that we know are pretty significant banks in Malaysia. So they want to create a pretty huge Islamic bank.
And also CIMB Group and RHB Capital have withdrawn their application to Bank Negara Malaysia, and the exclusivity agreement entered into by parties has been terminated with the cessation of the talks. And it seems that they had discussions for the proposed merger on the premise that they would be able to arrive at a value-enhancing proposal. And this was aimed at mostly their stakeholders and also their respective shareholders. And they are very concerned about protecting their stakeholders, those who have actually bought shares, and also creating stakeholder value, which is very important to all the parties in the environment.
And then this is pretty exciting news for a certain community. And then given the discussion have ceased for now, they can actually continue to focus on the strengthen our their franchises, and also at the same time to achieve the goals that we have originally set for themselves. So they actually thank for those who are involved for this hard work. And in fact, the CIMB Group and RHB Capital have withdrawn their application to Bank Negara Malaysia.
And this is, of course, in light of the current economic conditions. And it seems if these three banks come together, they can form a stronger structure, and also it increases their credibility as well. And through this, they can actually convince more people to actually buy shares, and also to get more stakeholders to come in, because when you have three major banks like this, like CIMB itself, which is already really big in Malaysia, in the region itself, you have RHB and you have MBSB coming together, and this makes it more attractive for people to and convinces more people to come in and to be a part of this mega merger, which will be happening very soon.
Yep.
And moving on to India, we have an India ASEAN Services and Investment FTA, which will be enforced from July onwards, and this will pave way for freer movement of professionals and further investment of opportunities. So it's pretty much like what we have with the AEC, where we are trying to go for a single market, a single production base with freer flow of capital, of labor, and India has agreed to be a part of this.
Yeah, like you said, it's already been signed, and in July this year, they will actually be able to carry out the plan. And in fact, India signed the FTA, Free Trade Agreement, in the services and investment in September last year, and Malaysia is the chair of ASEAN this year, just to double confirm.
Of course, just to remind people out there.
Yeah, and also India signed this FTA in goods with the bloc in 2009. The country was keen on the services. So after this Modi came into this position in the country, a lot of things are slowly changing in this nation to develop and also improve a certain part that which were not actually looked into the consideration before.
And India also said that, of course, there are a lot of challenges by doing this, because for us itself to come together with 9 other countries, because there are 10 of us, is difficult enough. And for India to come in, and also if we were to talk about the RCEP or the RCEP,
Yep.
that's a total of 16 countries that we're talking about. So that's it's definitely not a small thing. It's a very major deal that's happening in this part of the world, together with China, India, and apart from the ASEAN countries, we have also China, Japan, Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. And this 16 economies actually account for over a quarter of the world economy, and that's how powerful we can be.
Yes, and also the minister termed it quite challenging, because the target of USD, we're talking about the USD dollar here, $50 billion, that goes for the bilateral trade between India and Malaysia in 2015, because of the fall in crude and the palm oil prices. And that is actually a large portion of exports from Malaysia to India.
And speaking of that, in 2013, just between these two countries, Malaysia and India, the total of the bilateral trade went up to 13.4 billion.
And
that
now
was,
they're looking at the more budget here, which is 50 billion.
Yeah, because that was 2 years ago. So 2 years later, they are expecting a higher number. So I guess we are looking forward to working with India and welcoming them into this region and to be a part of ASEAN. And unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for this morning. Thank you so much for listening to our ASEAN Daily, where we bring you news every morning from all over the region.
And also, we have a website. Our official website is adrianasean.com. And we also do have our own social channels, right, Gowri?
Yes, we do. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, as well as our YouTube channel. Do subscribe and follow all of our pages. And you can also download the TuneIn app for now, before we come up with our own app. And look for Durian ASEAN if you want to listen to us on the move.